Well, the governor of the US state of Utah says the trade school student jailed on suspicion of fatally shooting right-wing activist Charlie Kirk will face formal charges in the coming days. Kirk's death on Wednesday while speaking at a university has shocked the US, and particularly his supporters. People have been gathering at a makeshift memorial at the campus at Utah Valley University and at other sites, including outside the headquarters of Kirk's political movement in his home state of Arizona. Ethan Bearman is an attorney, talk radio host and a political commentator in Los Angeles. I asked him if the death of Charlie Kirk has brought the US to a moment of peak polarisation. Ethan Bearman is a busy man. He's an attorney, owner at the Bearman firm in California, a talk radio host, political commentator as well, joining us from Los Angeles. Good to see you. As a talk radio host, you take the temperature of your audience almost constantly. America has long been divided or polarised. I wonder, though, has the death of Charlie Kirk brought us to a moment of some sort of peak polarisation?
I think that's a fair assessment, is to say peak polarization. And it's really problematic when we hear people like the president in particular, who should be trying to bring us together and unifying our country and cooling the temperature opposed to stoking the fires. It's very disappointing to hear the president. It is a deeply sad time for the country to see us continue to fall into the trap of this false dichotomy that the other side is the evil ones and my side is the good ones. We need to talk to each other. We need to debate. We need to have these discussions. We need to respect one another as fellow Americans. And very few people are sharing that message, especially from leadership positions.
Yeah, Ethan, how are you witnessing political groups trying to use Charlie Kirk's death?
Well, I mean, immediately in the aftermath, before we knew anything about the alleged shooter in this case, the right jumped and started attacking the left, blaming the left for all of this. We find out it's not the left at all. The left, of course, was looking to find indications that the shooter was a right-winger and to cast aspersions on the right. We also have the senator from Utah who, after the murder of the Minnesota state senator, the Democrat, just the other month, who tweeted out something to minimize and essentially make fun of her murder. We need people to lead. And leadership requires us to make difficult decisions to guide people to a better outcome. And it is just simply rarely happening. The governor of Utah, I believe his speech the other day was very good. The governor of California put out a tweet immediately after the murder of Charlie Kirk that I thought was exactly appropriate, that we should be discussing, debating, and we should never bring violence into a situation where we politically disagree with someone.
Whether it's right or wrong to do so, is the sad reality that it works? I mean, can the Republican Party, for instance, harness this moment and turn it to their advantage, as sick as that sounds?
Absolutely. And politicians do this. The combination of social media, the idea that we have an open field for anybody to share a belief and that it's equal to facts or has an equal value to other beliefs that the Western civilization in general happens to hold to be true. I find these to be deeply problematic, but there's no question in my mind that the political parties immediately jumped on this to try and bolster their position. The problem right now that we have is, while they're hardening their base against the other side, it doesn't seem to be achieving them any additional victories. As a matter of fact, we just saw in a special election in Virginia, another Democrat won. So this idea of divide and conquer, this very Machiavellian approach to politics that seemed to have taken over the last 10 to 15 years, it is not a successful strategy in the long term. It might win them certain things in the short term, but overall, it's bad for our representative democracy and, generally speaking, Western civilization.
Is part of the collateral damage here the attitudes and how the attitudes have suffered of normal Americans outside the party base, the attitudes of Americans to violent rhetoric and the acceptance of violence against political figures?
Yeah, I think that this is a very serious problem that has been exceedingly magnified by social media, where we get to demean people, make them less than human because we're not standing in front of them. We're behind a keyboard safely. And people say things and do things that they would never do to somebody's face in real life. But worse, that we're finding, it's not just the individuals, is we have geopolitical foes. I know Europe specifically has suffered under this repeatedly. The United States, it's fairly well documented that between Russia and China, there are influence campaigns that would have never been this successful before the advent of social media. And social media gives them an equal playing field to leverage the technologies against our own democracies, our own institutions. And that just magnifies the effect tremendously negatively.
You talked a bit about what you hoped leaders would be doing or should be doing. I wonder, in your view, are there any public figures who you think are working to reduce political polarisation as it stands?
Yeah, I really do believe Governor Newsom here in California started his podcast, and one of his first guests was Charlie Kirk. We need to talk to people who have different ideas than us. By the way, that strengthens our own positions and or convinces us to change our position. Governor Cox in Utah, I believe, is really sending out the right message that we need to be communicating, pulling together as communities. Those are the two best examples that I have seen in the time since the murder. That's awful, by the way. I actually had met Charlie Kirk. I'd been on TV and argued against him. He was a very kind man to me. His team was always very good to me and very, very, very respectful. But we need more of that and less of the divisive leadership that drives us apart.
Ethan, it's been great to get your thoughts. Really appreciate you coming on.
Thanks so much, Mr. Howard. Appreciate it.